When hearts cross borders, Junwoo thought he understood love, until Amara proved him wrong. From a simple act of kindness in a crowded Abuja mall to quiet moments that stirred his heart, their connection grew stronger than either expected. But now a new challenge awaits: distance, family expectations, and cultures that couldn't be more different. Can their love survive when the world tests it beyond the safe streets of the mall? Or will the walls they've built around themselves return, stronger than ever? Get ready for part 2 of Junwoo and Amara's story, a tale of courage, passion, and the kind of love that refuses to let go. Don't miss a moment. Like, subscribe, and follow for more as their journey unfolds. Life for Junwoo and Amara had settled into a rhythm, quiet but sweet. They met at the mall, shared meals at cozy cafes, and sometimes wandered the city streets simply talking. But just as love was beginning to feel effortless, the real world began to press in. It started one Friday evening, when Junwoo had to attend a corporate party at a trendy club in central Abuja. His colleagues insisted he come, and though he preferred quiet nights, he knew refusing would draw unwanted attention. Amara had wanted to join, but he insisted she stay home. "I don't like these crowded places," he said, adjusting his tie. "You'll enjoy your evening more somewhere peaceful." Amara smiled, but a flicker of worry crossed her eyes. "Okay, but don't let anyone push you around," she warned. The club was loud, crowded, and pulsing with energy. Neon lights flashed across glass walls. DJ music shook the floor, and the scent of perfume and expensive cologne hung in the air. Junwoo felt uncomfortable immediately. He wasn't used to this scene, and the way people looked at him, curious, sometimes flirtatious, made him uneasy. Still, he kept his composure. Work etiquette first, distraction second. It didn't take long for the first spark of jealousy to appear. A group of young women, dressed in glittering outfits, approached him with wide smiles. "Hey, you're new here, right? You look familiar," one of them said, laughing lightly. Junwoo smiled politely, deflecting. "Yes, I just started work here." But their attention lingered. They circled him, laughing, leaning in slightly, complimenting his clothes, his accent, his presence. Inside, Junwoo's mind raced. He wanted to brush it off. He wanted to stay polite and professional. But thoughts of Amara crept in, sharp and insistent. "She's not here. She should be." The jealousy tightened in his chest. And then he noticed one of his colleagues whispering to another. "Do you see the way she's looking at him?" One laughed, nodding toward the group of women. Junwoo's jaw clenched, not at them, at the idea that someone else could come close to taking the space Amara had claimed in his heart. He tried to focus on work-related conversations, but every smile, every comment, every glance from these women became a test. And he realized something. He had never felt this possessive before. Not in Korea, not with anyone else. Amara was different, and the thought that someone could intrude, however briefly, made him uneasy in a way he hadn't anticipated. Meanwhile, Amara was at home, casually scrolling through her phone, blissfully unaware of the tension building in the club. She had sent him a text earlier. "Have fun tonight. Don't let them annoy you too much." He hadn't replied yet, not because he was ignoring her, but because he was too distracted. Back in the club, one of the women finally leaned closer. "You should come dance with us," she said, flashing a playful smile. Junwoo hesitated. Something inside him snapped. I'm here for work," he said firmly, his voice low. The smile faltered slightly, but they didn't leave. They lingered, watching him. Then came the moment he couldn't ignore. A colleague tried to hand him a drink, nudging him toward the women. "Go on, loosen up." Junwoo's fingers tightened around the glass. No, not tonight, not her, not anyone. He pushed past the group and excused himself, stepping outside into the cool night air. The street lights cast long shadows. Cars passed by with muffled music from the club. The tension in his chest remained, but now it was clearer. He wanted Amara. Not the attention, not the distraction, not the noise. Pulling out his phone, he sent a message. I need to see you. Now. Almost instantly, her reply came. Already on my way. Don't make me wait too long. By the time she arrived, Junwoo was pacing near the entrance, his nerves tight but his heart racing, not from the club, not from the music, but from anticipation. Amara appeared, hair flowing slightly in the evening breeze, eyes scanning for him. You look tense, she said softly, stepping closer. I don't like that place, he admitted, running a hand through his hair. Too many people, too much attention. She cut him off, smiling warmly. I get it. You don't like distractions. He nodded, suddenly aware of how much he trusted her understanding. I realized something tonight, he said, voice low. I get jealous, easily, more than I expected. And it's because of you. I don't want anyone else, even for a second, taking your place. Amara's eyes softened. She reached out, taking his hand. You're mine, she teased lightly, but her tone carried sincerity. He smiled, relief washing over him. I hope so, because I'm yours. That night the city felt quieter, warmer, as if the world itself was bending to their connection. For Junwoo, the lesson was clear. Love wasn't just about being with someone, it was about protecting that bond, feeling it, and finally letting it grow without walls. But as they walked back toward the quiet streets, hand in hand, neither of them knew that bigger challenges, family expectations, cultural differences, and distance were just around the corner, waiting to test what they had built. If you want, I can expand Chapter 7 next, where Junwoo travels back to Korea and introduces Amara to his family, full of tension, cultural surprises, and romance. Love had come quietly into Junwoo's life, but reality arrived loudly. The email came on a Monday morning, short, direct, final. Your presence is required in Seoul for the next phase of the project. Junwoo stared at the screen for a long time. He had known this moment would come. His assignment in Abuja was never permanent, but knowing and feeling it were two different things. That evening he met Amara at their usual spot outside the mall. The sunset painted the sky in soft gold and orange, just like the day he confessed his feelings. But today felt heavier. You're quiet, Amara said, studying his face. Junwoo exhaled slowly. I have to go back to Korea. The words landed between them, still, sharp, unavoidable. Amara didn't react immediately. She looked down at her hands for a moment, then back at him. For how long? She asked. I don't know, he admitted. Months, maybe longer. Silence followed. Not the comfortable kind they were used to. This one carried weight, uncertainty, fear. Oh, she said softly, just one word, but it held everything. I didn't choose this, Junwoo added quickly. It's work. I have to go. I know, she replied gently. You don't have to explain. But he did, because something inside him felt like it was slipping. I'll come back, he said, his voice firm now. This doesn't change anything. Amara looked at him, really looked at him. You don't know that, she said quietly. The truth in her voice hit him harder than he expected. I do, he insisted. I won't let it change. She smiled faintly, not because she fully believed him, but because she wanted to. Okay, she said. They sat there for a long time after that, closer than usual, quieter than usual, as if both of them were trying to memorize the moment before it slipped away. The goodbye the day he left came too quickly. Airports were never meant for emotions. Too many people, too many goodbyes, too many things left unsaid. Amara stood in front of him, her hands folded tightly, like she was holding herself together. Junwoo looked at her, his chest tight. I'll call you, he said. You better, she replied softly. He hesitated, then stepped forward, and pulled her into his arms. She held on tighter than she expected. Don't forget me, she whispered. He pulled back slightly, just enough to look at her. I couldn't even if I tried. And then, he left. Back to Seoul. Seoul was everything Abuja wasn't. Cold, fast, structured, predictable. The moment Junwoo stepped back into his old world, it felt like nothing had changed. Same streets, same buildings, same expectations. But he had changed. At work, he was sharp as ever, focused, efficient, professional. But outside of work, something felt off. The silence in his apartment wasn't peaceful anymore. It was empty. He found himself checking his phone constantly, waiting for her messages, for her voice, for something that reminded him of the life he had left behind. Everything else faded. Junwoo. Amara's voice came through softly. He closed his eyes briefly. Amara. They talked for hours that night, about everything and nothing. But distance has a way of revealing truths you can't ignore. Time zones became a problem. When he was free, she was busy. When she called, he was in meetings. Missed calls, delayed replies, short conversations, and slowly, the space between them grew. The family conversation, it happened one evening at dinner. Junwoo sat across from his parents, the table neatly arranged, everything in its proper place. Order, control, tradition. His mother noticed first. "You've been distracted," she said. He didn't deny it. "There's something I need to tell you." His father looked up, serious, attentive. Junwoo took a breath, then said it. "I met someone in Nigeria." Silence. "What do you mean, someone?" his mother asked carefully. "A woman," he replied. "Her name is Amara." Another silence, longer this time. His father leaned back slightly. "And she is Nigerian?" "Yes." The air in the room shifted, subtle but undeniable. His mother's expression tightened, not harsh, but uncertain. "You've only been there a few months," she said. "You barely know her." "I know enough," Junwoo replied firmly. His father's voice was calm, measured, but she is from a very different background. Junwoo's jaw tightened. "I know. Different culture," his father continued. "Different values. These things matter." The words felt familiar, too familiar, because once upon a time, Junwoo had believed them. "I used to think that too," he said quietly. Both parents looked at him. "I was wrong," he continued. "I judged people before I knew them. I believed things that weren't true." His mother sighed softly. "We're not saying she's a bad person. We're saying it won't be easy." "I'm not looking for easy," he replied. "I'm looking for real." Silence filled the room again, but this time it wasn't empty. It was a battle between who he used to be and who he had become. The first crack that night, Junwoo stood by his window, looking out at the city lights of Seoul. Beautiful, distant, cold. His phone buzzed. "Amara." He answered immediately. "Hey," she said softly. "Hey." There was a pause. "You sound tired," she noticed. He leaned his head back slightly. "I told my parents about you." Silence. "And?" she asked. He hesitated. "They don't understand yet." Another pause, longer this time. Amara exhaled slowly. "Okay, just one word," but he could hear it, the doubt, the fear, the questions she didn't ask. "I'll make them understand," he said quickly. "Junwoo," she began, her voice gentle but uncertain. "What if they don't?" He didn't answer immediately, because for the first time, he didn't have one. The distance between them wasn't just miles anymore. It was reality. And as Junwoo stood there, phone pressed to his ear, heart caught between two worlds, he realized something important. Love had brought them together, but now, love would be tested in ways neither of them were ready for. Distance doesn't break love all at once. It wears it down slowly, quietly, in moments you don't notice, until they start to hurt. At first, Junwoo and Amara tried to hold on to what they had built. They called every day, texted constantly, shared pictures of their lives, his structured days in Seoul, her vibrant routines in Abuja. "Look," Amara said one afternoon on video call, turning her camera to a busy street. "You miss this chaos, don't you?" Junwoo smiled faintly. "Maybe a little." "Liar," she teased. "Maybe a lot," he admitted. They laughed, but behind the laughter, something fragile lingered. The time between them. Time zones became their first real enemy. When Junwoo woke up, Amara was already halfway through her day. When she wanted to talk at night, he was exhausted from work. "I'll call you later," he would say. "Okay," she'd reply. But later didn't always come. Missed calls turned into short texts. Short texts turned into delayed replies. And slowly, The rhythm they once had began to fade. One night, Amara sat on her bed, staring at her phone. The screen glowed in the dark. No new messages. She typed, "Are you busy?" Then deleted it. Typed again, "I miss you." Deleted that too. Instead, she put the phone down and said nothing. Across the world, Junwoo sat in his office, staring at his screen long after everyone had left. His phone rested beside him, Amara's name at the top of his messages. He picked it up, then put it down again. "I'll call her when I get home." But by the time he got home, she was asleep, and the cycle continued. Voices from the outside. Distance wasn't their only problem. People started talking. "Are you sure about him?" one of Amara's friends asked as they sat together at a cafe. "He's in another country," another added. "Different culture, different life. These things don't last." Amara forced a small smile. "He's not like that." But doubt is quiet and persistent. "Men like that have options," her friend continued. "You think you're the only one?" That one stayed with her, long after the conversation ended. That night, when Junwoo didn't call again, the doubt grew louder. The other side of the world. In Seoul, Junwoo faced his own pressure. At work, everything demanded his attention. Deadlines tightened, meetings increased, expectations grew, and outside of work, his parents didn't let the topic go. "You're still talking to her?" his mother asked one evening. "Yes," he replied simply. His father sighed. "You're making your life more difficult than it needs to be." Junwoo's expression hardened slightly. "I'm making it honest." But even he couldn't ignore the weight of their words. And then, there were others. At a company dinner, a colleague leaned closer, smiling. "You should meet someone here," she suggested. "Someone who understands your world." Junwoo didn't respond, but the idea lingered. Not because he wanted it, but because it reminded him of something uncomfortable. How far away Amara was. The breaking point. It happened on a night that started like any other. Amara called. Junwoo didn't answer. She waited. 5 minutes. 10. 30. Then she called again. No response. Her chest tightened, her mind racing. When his message finally came, it was short. "Busy, talk later." Something inside her snapped. She called again. This time, he answered. "Amara, I said I'm busy." "You're always busy," she cut in, her voice shaking. Silence. "What's that supposed to mean?" he asked, his tone tightening. "It means I don't feel like I'm part of your life anymore," she said, her words coming faster now. "I wait for your calls, your messages, and you're never there." "That's not fair," he replied. "I'm working. I'm trying to build something. And where am I in that?" she demanded. The question hit him hard. "I'm doing this for us," he said. "You didn't even ask if I wanted this," she shot back. Silence filled the line. Heavy, painful. For the first time since they met, they didn't understand each other. After the silence, the call ended without resolution. No goodbye, no comfort. Just silence. Amara sat on her bed, tears slipping down her face before she could stop them. In Seoul, Junwoo stared at his phone, the screen dark, the room quiet. He replayed her words in his head. "Where am I in your life?" And for the first time, he didn't have a clear answer. Holding on, or letting go. Days passed, without calls, without messages. The distance felt wider now, not just physical, but emotional. Amara threw herself into her studies, trying to distract herself, but everything reminded her of him. The mall, the bookstore, even the ice cream stand. Junwoo worked longer hours, avoiding the silence, waiting for him at home. But no matter how busy he stayed, he couldn't escape the truth. He missed her, not just her voice, not just her presence, everything. And somewhere deep inside, he knew one thing. Love wasn't supposed to feel this far away. But the question remained. Were they strong enough to fight for it, or were they slowly learning how to live without it? Silence can be loud. Louder than arguments, louder than distance. For weeks, Junwoo and Amara lived in that silence. No calls, no messages, no explanations. At first, it felt like anger, then pride, then something heavier. Loss. Life without each other. Amara tried to move on, or at least look like she was. She stopped going to the mall, avoided the bookstore, chose new cafes, new routines. But memories are stubborn. They don't disappear just because you want them to. One afternoon, she passed by the ice cream stand without thinking. Her steps slowed, her chest tightened. "Vanilla," she whispered softly to herself. She looked away quickly and kept walking, but the feeling followed her across the world. Junwoo wasn't doing any better. Work had become his escape. Long hours, late nights, endless meetings. But even in the middle of everything, she was there. In his thoughts, in small reminders, in quiet moments he couldn't avoid. He would pick up his phone instinctively, then remember, and put it back down. The realization, it came unexpectedly. One evening, after another long day, Junwoo sat alone in his apartment. The city lights of Seoul stretched endlessly outside his window. Beautiful, but empty. He glanced at his phone again. Still no message, still no name lighting up the screen. And suddenly, he felt it, clearly, unavoidably. This wasn't just distance. This wasn't just a disagreement. He was losing her. Not because he didn't care, but because he hadn't fought hard enough. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees, his hands clasped tightly. "I was wrong," he muttered to himself. He thought love was something that would stay, something that could wait, something that would survive without effort. But Amara wasn't something to assume. She was someone to choose, every day, and he hadn't. The decision. That night, Junwoo didn't hesitate. He opened his laptop, searched for flights. His fingers hovered for only a second. Then, he booked it. No long planning, no overthinking, just one clear decision. Go back. The journey. The flight felt longer than usual, not because of distance, but because of anticipation. Memories filled his mind. Her laughter, her voice, the way she looked at him, and the last conversation they had. "Where am I in your life?" This time, he had an answer. Back where it began. When Junwoo arrived in Abuja, everything felt familiar. The heat, the noise, the life. But this time, it didn't feel overwhelming. It felt like home. He didn't go to his apartment first, didn't go to work, didn't even rest. He went straight to the place where everything started, the mall. His heart pounded as he walked through the entrance. Same lights, same crowd, same energy. But everything felt different, because now he knew what he was looking for. The moment. He didn't see her immediately. He walked past the electronics store, the cafe, the ice cream stand, then the bookstore. And there she was, standing between the shelves, just like before. Amara. For a moment, he couldn't move. She looked the same, and yet something had changed. She seemed quieter, more distant, as if she had learned how to live without him. That thought hit him hard. He stepped forward, slowly. "Amara." She froze. The sound of his voice, familiar, unexpected. She turned, and their eyes met. Time stopped. For a second she didn't react, didn't move, didn't speak, like she wasn't sure if he was real. "Junwoo," she whispered. He nodded. "I'm here." That was all it took. The distance, the silence, the pain. Everything broke at once. She ran, and this time, he didn't hesitate. He caught her in his arms, holding her tightly, like letting go wasn't an option anymore. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice breaking slightly. "I should have fought for you. I should have been there. I should have—" She pulled back slightly, just enough to look at him. "You left," she said softly. "I came back," he replied. Her eyes searched his, looking for doubt, for hesitation, for anything that might break her again. She didn't find it. "I was losing you," he continued, "and I realized, I don't want a life where you're not in it." Her breath caught. "You didn't answer me before," she said quietly, "when I asked where I am in your life." He stepped closer. "You are my life," he said. No hesitation, no fear, just truth. Tears filled her eyes. For a moment, she didn't speak. Then, she smiled, and just like that, the distance disappeared. A new beginning. They didn't fix everything in one moment. The challenges were still there. Distance, family, differences. But something had changed. This time, they both knew. Love wasn't just a feeling. It was a choice. And this time, they chose each other, completely, without fear, without running. And as they walked out of the mall together, hand in hand, the world felt different again. Not because it had changed, but because they had, and this time, they weren't letting go. Just when Junwoo and Amara thought they had found their way back to each other, life prepares its biggest challenge yet. Because love is not just about coming back, it's about staying. Junwoo has returned to Abuja, heart open, ready to fight for their love. But this time, it's bigger than distance. His family is watching, her world is questioning, and the truth they've both been avoiding is finally here. Where do they belong? Nigeria or Korea? A sudden invitation changes everything. A trip to Korea, a family that isn't ready to accept her. Cold stares, silent judgment, cultural clashes, and one moment, one decision that could either bring them closer forever or tear them apart completely. Do you really think you can fit into his world? Will you choose me even if it costs you everything? Love brought them together, but now love will be tested. Will Amara survive the world Junwoo comes from? Will Junwoo stand firm when everything is against them? Or is this where their love finally breaks? Don't miss what happens next. Like, subscribe for more as this unforgettable love story continues, because the next part will change everything.